The words sliced through the hushed elegance of the showroom like a razor blade wrapped in velvet. "This one might be a little too much for you." Keisha Williams felt the blood drain from her face. The sentence hung in the air, poisoning the soft lighting, the delicate scent of lilies, the whisper of silk against her skin. It hit her with the force of a physical blow, a sharp, disbelieving wave that started in her chest and radiated outward until her fingertips tingled with numbness. She stood frozen on the raised platform, the sample gown, a breathtaking creation of French lace and hand-sewn pearls, still clinging to her body like a cruel joke. But it wasn't the dress that had been judged. It was her. The saleswoman's words weren't a critique of fashion. They were a verdict on her existence. A quiet, ugly assumption spoken aloud in a voice so polished it could cut glass. The assumption that someone like her, a young black woman from a modest background in Atlanta's East Side, a woman whose mother had cleaned houses for women who shopped in places like this, didn't belong, didn't deserve to stand here, in this temple of white luxury, dreaming of her wedding day. Keisha's throat constricted. Her eyes burned with the sting of unshed tears. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, to explain that she had the money, that her fiancé was a successful architect, that she was just as much a bride as any woman who had ever stood on this platform. But the words wouldn't come. They were trapped behind the wall of humiliation that had just been erected around her heart. 3 hours earlier, Keisha had stepped through the frosted glass doors of Bianca's bridal atelier with her heart fluttering like a caged bird against her ribs. The boutique occupied a prime corner in Buckhead, Atlanta's most affluent neighborhood, nestled between designer boutiques and restaurants where a single meal cost more than her weekly grocery budget back in the day. But today wasn't about budgets. Today was about forever. She was going to marry Marcus Reynolds. Marcus, who had walked into her life 3 years ago at a community development meeting and hadn't left since. Marcus, the senior architect whose designs were reshaping Atlanta's skyline, but who still remembered to bring her coffee exactly the way she liked it every single morning. Marcus, who looked at her, really looked at her, and saw past the color of her skin to the woman beneath. He was the one who had pressed the velvet box into her palm on a rooftop overlooking the city, his voice thick with emotion as he asked her to be his wife. He was the one who had insisted she come here today, who had made the appointment himself and told her to spare no expense. "You deserve this, Keisha," he had said that morning, kissing her forehead. "You deserve the whole damn fairy tale. Don't let anyone tell you different." The boutique was everything she had imagined and more. Crystal chandeliers dripped from vaulted ceilings. Gowns weren't hung on racks, but displayed on pedestals like museum pieces, each illuminated by its own soft spotlight. The walls were the color of champagne, and the carpet was so thick her heels sank into it with every step. It was a world she had only ever glimpsed in movies, a world that had always felt deliberately, intentionally out of reach for someone who looked like her. But today, she told herself, she belonged here. Today, she was a bride. A woman in a perfectly tailored ivory-sheath dress approached, her blonde hair swept into an elegant chignon, her smile a practiced curve that didn't quite reach her pale blue eyes. Her name tag read Brenda Whitmore, senior consultant. "Good afternoon," Brenda said, her voice a cultivated purr. "How may I help you today?" Keisha smiled, though she felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the hyper-awareness of being watched, assessed, measured. "I have an appointment. Keisha Williams. I'm here to try on wedding dresses." Brenda's gaze traveled down Keisha's body and back up again in a flicker so quick it was almost imperceptible. Almost. But Keisha had spent her entire life reading those flickers. She knew what they meant. They meant you don't belong here. They meant I'm trying to figure out if you wandered in by mistake. But Keisha forced herself to ignore it. Not today. Today she was going to own this moment. Her eyes landed on a gown displayed on a central mannequin, and her breath caught. It was perfect. A fit-and-flare silhouette in delicate chantilly lace, with illusion sleeves and a train that seemed to go on forever. It was modern yet vintage, delicate yet bold. It was her. "I'd like to try that one," Keisha said, pointing. Brenda's smile thinned. "That's one of our most exclusive designs. It's by a Milanese couturier. Perhaps you'd like to start with something from our more accessible collection. The words were smooth, professional, but the subtext was crystal clear. That dress is too expensive for someone like you. That dress is too good for someone like you. Keisha's spine stiffened. I'd still like to try it, please. A pause. A beat of tension. Then Brenda's smile returned, though it didn't reach her eyes. Of course. I'll have your consultant bring it to your fitting suite. Your consultant. Not me. Brenda was passing her off. The fitting suite was beautiful, all soft lighting and plush seating and triple mirrors that showed Keisha from every angle. A younger saleswoman named Ashley brought the gown, her manner nervous, apologetic almost. She helped Keisha into the dress, her fingers gentle, her eyes avoiding Keisha's in the mirror. When Keisha finally stood on the raised platform, she forgot everything else. The dress was magic. It fit like it had been made for her, hugging her curves, flowing over her hips, the lace catching the light and throwing tiny shadows on her brown skin. She looked like a bride. She felt like a bride. Oh, she breathed. This is it. This is the one. Ashley smiled, a genuine smile this time. It's beautiful on you. Really. For a moment, Keisha let herself believe. She imagined Marcus at the end of the aisle, his eyes filling with tears at the sight of her. She imagined their mothers crying in the front row. She imagined walking toward her future, toward the life they were building together. And then the door opened. Brenda stepped back into the room, and she wasn't alone. Another woman stood behind her, older, sharper, her salt and pepper hair cut in a severe angular bob, her charcoal suit worth more than most people's cars. Her name tag read Patricia Vance, store director. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The temperature seemed to drop. Ashley stepped back, her face pale. Patricia's eyes landed on Keisha, and what Keisha saw in them made her stomach drop. It wasn't just assessment. It wasn't just judgment. It was cold, naked contempt. The kind of look that said, I know you're kind without needing to utter a single word. Is there a problem here? Patricia asked, though she wasn't looking at Keisha. She was looking at Brenda. Brenda shook her head slightly. No problem. The client was just finishing up. Keisha's heart hammered. I'm not finished. I'd like to see this dress in a smaller size, and I'd also like to try the Vera Wong in the window. Patricia's gaze finally, fully landed on her. It was like being pinned under glass. I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Keisha blinked.
Excuse me? Patricia stepped into the room, her heels clicking against the floor with the finality of a gavel. She didn't just walk, she advanced, claiming space, asserting dominance. We have certain standards to maintain here at Bianca's. This gown is part of our couture collection. It requires a certain sensibility to appreciate properly. She paused, letting the words hang in the air like smoke. I think you'd be more comfortable at one of the chain stores. David's Bridal, perhaps. They have more affordable options for someone like you. The room spun. Keisha gripped the edge of the platform to steady herself. Someone like me? What does that mean? Patricia's smile was razor-thin, a mere tightening of lips that held no warmth whatsoever. I think you know exactly what it means. This is a private establishment. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who isn't aligned with our brand identity. Your brand identity, Keisha repeated, her voice rising despite herself. I have an appointment. I have money to spend. I'm a bride, just like any other woman who walks through your door. Patricia's eyes hardened into chips of ice. She took another step closer, close enough that Keisha could smell her expensive perfume, could see the fine lines around her mouth that spoke of years of sneering at people she deemed beneath her. Let me be very clear, because you seem to be having trouble understanding. We don't cater to your demographic. It's nothing personal. It's simply business. Our clients expect a certain atmosphere, a certain homogeneity. They come here for an experience, for exclusivity. They don't come here to rub elbows with people who don't understand what that means. The words landed like bullets. Keisha felt each one tear through her. Your demographic. Homogeneity. People who don't understand. This wasn't about the dress. This wasn't about money. This was about the color of her skin. This was about a woman in a position of power looking at her and seeing not a bride, not a customer, but an intrusion, a contamination, a threat to the pristine whiteness of her little kingdom. My presence here makes them uncomfortable, Keisha said, her voice shaking. That's what you're saying. My black skin in your white space makes everyone uncomfortable. Patricia's expression didn't flicker. If anything, her contempt deepened. I'm saying that you don't belong here. You never did. You never will. And now I'm going to ask you to leave before I have security escort you out. And believe me, they will not be gentle about it. Tears burned in Keisha's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of this woman. You're kicking me out because I'm black.
Say it.
Just say it out loud, so we both know exactly what this is. Patricia leaned in, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper that only Keisha could hear.
Fine.
You want me to say it? You're here because some N-word from the East Side thinks she can play dress up in my store. You're here because your kind always wants what it can't have, always pushing in where you're not wanted. Well, I've been running this store for 20 years, and I've kept it classy for 20 years, and I'm not about to let the likes of you ruin it. Now get out before I call the police and tell them you're trespassing. And we both know how that story ends for someone like you, don't we? The word hit Keisha like a slap. N-word. She had heard it before, of course. She had grown up hearing it whispered behind her back, shouted from passing cars, scrawled on bathroom walls. But to hear it here, in this beautiful place, spoken with such casual cruelty by a woman in an expensive suit, it was a violation so deep she couldn't breathe. Behind Patricia, Brenda had gone pale. Ashley looked like she might be sick, but neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved. They just stood there, complicit in their silence, witnesses to an act of racial violence dressed up in couture. You can't do this, Keisha whispered. This is illegal. This is discrimination. Patricia laughed, a cold, ugly sound. Prove it. It's my word against yours. Who do you think they're going to believe? Me, Patricia Vance, Buckhead businesswoman, member of the country club, donor to the symphony, or some girl from the projects who couldn't afford a dress in this store if she saved for 10 years. Go ahead. Try to prove it. I'll bury you in lawsuits before you can find a lawyer stupid enough to take your case. Keisha stepped off the platform, her legs unsteady. The beautiful lace dress felt like a shroud now, like a costume she had no right to wear. She fumbled with the zipper, her fingers shaking, desperate to get out of it. Out of this place, out of her own skin. Ashley stepped forward to help her, her eyes swimming with tears of shame. I'm so sorry, she whispered as she worked the tiny buttons free. I'm so sorry. Keisha didn't respond. She couldn't. She was focused on breathing, on staying upright, on not collapsing into the sobs that were building in her chest. When she was back in her own clothes, a simple sundress, comfortable sandals, clothes that marked her as someone who didn't belong in Buckhead boutiques, Patricia was waiting at the door of the fitting suite. I'll walk you out, she said, to make sure you don't take anything. The implication was clear. You're a thief. Of course you're a thief. All your kind are thieves. Keisha followed her through the showroom, past the crystal chandeliers and the museum piece gowns, past the other customers who glanced up with curiosity and then quickly away, uncomfortable witnesses to an eviction they didn't fully understand. At the door, Patricia paused, her hand on the handle. Don't come back, she said quietly. And don't bother telling your friends about us. We know how to handle people who cause trouble. We have connections. We have lawyers. We have the police on speed dial. You think you can fight this? You'll lose. You'll always lose. People like you always lose in the end. She opened the door, and the Atlanta heat hit Keisha like a wall. The door closed behind her with a soft, final click. The sidewalk was crowded with shoppers, women with designer bags and salon-perfect hair, couples holding hands, children licking ice cream cones. None of them looked at her. None of them knew that she had just been evicted from a dream, that she had just been called a word that had been used to dehumanize her people for centuries. She walked a few steps and then stopped, her legs giving out. She sank onto a bench, her hands covering her face, and the tears she had held back finally came. They weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of rage, of exhaustion, of the cumulative weight of a lifetime of being told she didn't belong, of being followed in stores, of being asked if she was lost when she walked into nice buildings, of watching white women clutch their purses tighter when she sat next to them on the train, of being stopped by police for the crime of driving while black, of having her intelligence questioned, her credentials doubted, her very existence treated as a problem to be solved. And now this, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. Keisha? The voice cut through the fog. She looked up, and there was Marcus, striding toward her from the parking garage across the street, his face a mask of concern. He had told her he had meetings all afternoon. He must have finished early. He must have come to surprise her. What happened? He was kneeling in front of her now, his hands on her knees, his dark eyes searching her face. Baby, what's wrong? Talk to me. Keisha tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. The humiliation, the anger, the sheer injustice of it all. It was too big, too heavy. She just shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Marcus's expression shifted. The concern didn't disappear, but something else joined it. Something harder. Something colder. Who did this to you? Was it in there? He looked at the boutique's elegant facade, and his jaw tightened. Tell me what happened. And finally, the words came. They tumbled out in a rush, broken and raw. The saleswoman's assessment. The manager's contempt. The words your demographic and homogeneity and someone like you. And then the worst of it, the word. The word that had been used to justify slavery, to justify lynchings, to justify every indignity and violence visited upon her people for 400 years. She called me a N-word, Marcus. Keisha's voice broke on the word. She looked me in the eye and called me a N-word and told me to get out before she called the police. She said they'd believe her because she's rich and white, and I'm nothing. With every word, Marcus's face grew more still. Not blank, still. The stillness of a man who was processing, calculating, deciding. When she finished, he didn't speak for a long moment. He just pulled her into his arms and held her, his hand cradling the back of her head, his body a shield against the world. She felt his heart pounding against her cheek, felt the tension in his muscles, the barely contained rage vibrating through him. Then he released her and stood. He pulled out his phone. Marcus, what are you doing? Keisha's voice was thick with tears. Just take me home.
Please.
I don't want to be here anymore. He looked at her, and his eyes were burning. Not with the heat of rage, but with the cold fire of absolute resolve. No one treats my wife like that. No one calls you that word. No one makes you feel small. Not while I'm breathing.
He dialed.
Waited. Then spoke, his voice calm and measured, and terrifying in its quiet authority. Alan, it's Marcus. I need you to do something for me. I need you to find out who owns Bianca's bridal atelier in Buckhead. The whole company. I want to know everything about them. Holdings, debts, partners, everything. And then I want you to make them an offer. An offer they can't refuse. A pause. I don't care what it costs. I want the company. All of it. And then I want to shut down.
Permanently.
Today. Keisha stared at him, her tears forgotten. Marcus, no. You can't just. I can, he said, his voice softening as he looked at her, but the resolve never wavering. And I am. That woman in there. She doesn't get to do this to you. She doesn't get to do this to anyone ever again. I'm going to make sure of it. Baby, this is crazy. This is justice, Keisha. He knelt in front of her again, taking her hands. That woman looked at you and saw someone she could discard. Someone she could humiliate because of the color of your skin. And she was wrong. She was so wrong. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure the world knows it. Keisha's heart was pounding. The enormity of what he was doing, what he was offering, was almost too much to process. Marcus, I didn't want this to become a thing. I just wanted a dress. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away her tears. I know, baby. I know. But sometimes things happen and they become bigger than us. And when they do, we have a choice. We can walk away or we can stand up. And I'm standing up. With you. For you. For every woman who's ever been told she doesn't belong. Behind them, through the frosted glass doors of Bianca's bridal, Keisha could see movement. Patricia Vance was at the front desk, talking on the phone, her back to the window. She had no idea what was coming. She had no idea that in a few hours, her world would crumble. And for the first time since she'd walked through those doors, Keisha felt something other than pain. She felt hope. The news broke within hours. Social media exploded. Local news stations picked it up. Then national. Then international. Billionaire architect shuts down Buckhead bridal boutique after fiancé's humiliation. Marcus Reynolds buys Bianca's bridal, then closes it forever. Racial slur heard round the world. Atlanta developer's fiancé denied service because of skin color. The comments were a firestorm. Thousands of women shared their own stories of being followed in stores, of being denied service, of being treated like criminals because of the color of their skin. The hashtag #IStandWithKeisha trended worldwide. Supporters gathered outside the shuttered boutique, holding signs that read "Love is love is love," and "All brides belong," and "Say her name." Critics called Marcus's actions excessive, an abuse of wealth and power. But the overwhelming majority saw it for what it was, a man using every tool at his disposal to protect the woman he loved from the poison of racism. And through it all, Keisha watched from their penthouse apartment, her heart a battleground of emotions. She hadn't asked for this. She hadn't wanted to be a symbol. She had wanted to be a bride. But as she scrolled through the messages, from Black women who thanked her for fighting back, from white women who apologized for their complicity, from mothers who shared photos of their daughters and said, "I want her to grow up in a world where this doesn't happen," she began to understand. This wasn't just about her. This was about something bigger. Something that had been festering for centuries. Marcus found her on the balcony that night, staring out at the city lights. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "How are you doing?" he asked quietly. "I don't know," she admitted. "I'm grateful. I'm terrified. I'm angry. I'm hopeful. I'm everything." He nodded against her hair. "That's okay. You're allowed to be everything." "I didn't want this, Marcus. I didn't want to be the center of a media storm. I just wanted to find my dress." "I know." He turned her to face him. "But here's the thing, Keisha. You didn't create this storm. Patricia Vance created it when she looked at you and decided you weren't good enough. All we're doing is standing in the rain and refusing to let it wash us away." She leaned into him, letting his strength hold her up. "What happens now? Now we keep going. We turn this into something that lasts. We build something better." "Like what?" He smiled, that slow, beautiful smile that had made her fall in love with him. "I've been thinking, what if we started our own bridal company? A company that actually means it when it says all brides are welcome. A company that celebrates every skin color, every body type, every love story. A company that makes sure no woman ever has to feel the way you felt today." She pulled back, searching his face. "You're serious." "Dead serious. We have the resources. We have the platform. And now we have the reason. Let's build something that matters, Keisha. Let's build something that changes the game." She thought about it. About the little girls who would grow up seeing brides who looked like them in advertisements. About the women who would walk into a boutique and feel, for the first time, like they truly belonged. About the message it would send to people like Patricia Vance. You don't get to decide who belongs. Love decides. And love always wins. "Okay," she said quietly. "Let's do it." The months that followed were a blur of activity. They called the company Aura Bridal, a name that spoke to the light they wanted to bring to the industry. They hired a diverse team of designers, consultants, and marketers. They reached out to women of all backgrounds, asking them what they wanted, what they needed, what they had never dared to hope for in a wedding dress. And when they launched, the response was overwhelming. Women lined up outside their flagship store in Midtown. Orders poured in from across the country. Designers who had once dismissed the idea of inclusive luxury suddenly wanted to collaborate. The industry that had rejected Keisha now wanted to be part of what she was building. But the backlash came too. Established boutique owners gave interviews calling Aura Bridal a publicity stunt and a dilution of luxury. Anonymous online commenters attacked Keisha personally, questioning her credentials, her taste, her right to be in the fashion space at all. Some of the comments were openly racist, the kind of ugliness that lurked in the shadows, waiting for moments like this to surface. Keisha read them all. Some nights, she couldn't sleep. She would lie awake, the hateful words playing on a loop in her mind. She doesn't belong there. She's only there because of her husband. She's not really a designer. She's just a token. Just another N-word trying to play with the big girls. And then, one night, Marcus found her crying in the living room at 3 a.m. "Hey," he said softly, sitting beside her on the couch. "What's going on?" She showed him her phone. He read the comments, his jaw tightening with each one. But when he looked at her, his face was gentle. "Keisha, listen to me. These people don't know you. They don't know what you've overcome. They don't know the woman who worked 3 jobs to put herself through college. They don't know the woman who volunteers at the community center every Saturday. They don't know the woman who's going to be the mother of my children and the light of my life until the day I die. All they know is their own fear and their own hate, and that's their problem, not yours." She wiped her eyes. "I know. It's just sometimes it gets so loud." "I know it does. But you're louder. You're stronger. And you're not alone."
He took her hand.
"We're going to keep building. We're going to keep fighting. And one day, those voices won't matter anymore. Because the world we're building won't have room for them." 2 years later, Aura Bridal had become a phenomenon. They had stores in 10 cities. They had collaborations with top designers. They had a foundation that provided scholarships to young women of color pursuing careers in fashion and design. And they had a community, millions of women who had found in Aura a place where they belonged. Keisha stood in the window of their flagship store, looking at a display of wedding gowns on mannequins of every skin tone, every body type. A young black woman was inside, trying on dresses with her mother. Her laughter floated through the glass, bright and free. Marcus came up beside her, slipping his arm around her waist. "What are you thinking?"
She leaned into him.
"I'm thinking about that day. At Bianca's. How small I felt. How invisible."
She paused.
"And now I'm thinking about that woman in there. She'll never feel that way. Not here. Not ever." "That's because of you," Marcus said. "You turned pain into purpose." She shook her head. "We turned pain into purpose. Together." He kissed her temple. Together. A young girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, stopped outside the window with her mother. She pointed at the display, her eyes wide with wonder. "Mama, look. She looks like me." The mother smiled, her eyes glistening. "I see, baby. She does." Keisha watched them walk into the store, hand in hand, and felt a peace she hadn't known she was searching for. This was what it was all about. This was why she had endured the humiliation, the backlash, the sleepless nights. So that little girl could grow up knowing she belonged. Knowing that her skin color would never be a barrier to her dreams. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, Keisha received a letter. It was handwritten on expensive stationery, and it was from Patricia Vance. "Dear Ms. Williams, I'm writing to you because I don't know how else to say this. I was wrong. I was so wrong about you, about everything. When Marcus shut down my store, I was furious. I thought you were just another. Well, you know what I thought. But I've spent the last 2 years watching you. Watching what you've built. Watching how you've helped women. Watching how you've turned your pain into something beautiful. My daughter got married last month. She bought her dress from Aura Bridal. She told me about how welcomed she felt, how beautiful the consultants made her feel, how she'd never experienced anything like it. And I realized that's what I took from you. That feeling. That joy. I took it because of my own ugliness. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it.
But I wanted you to know that I see you now.
I see you clearly. And I'm ashamed of the woman I was. Patricia Vance. Keisha read the letter 3 times. Then she handed it to Marcus. What do you think? She asked. He read it, his expression unreadable. I think she's telling the truth. I think she's genuinely changed. But that doesn't erase what she did. No, Keisha agreed. It doesn't. She paused, thinking. But maybe it means that change is possible. Maybe it means that even people like Patricia Vance can learn to see differently. What are you going to do? Keisha looked out the window at the bustling store, at the brides and mothers and daughters who filled it with laughter and love. I'm going to write back. I'm going to thank her for her honesty. And I'm going to tell her that I hope she finds peace. Because carrying that kind of hate around, it must be exhausting. It must be its own kind of prison. Marcus pulled her close. You're a better person than me.
No, she said.
I'm just a person who's learned that hate doesn't fix anything. Love does. Belonging does. Community does. And if we want to build a better world, we have to believe that people can change. Even people like her. So tell me, do you think the color of someone's skin should determine where they can shop, what they can wear, or who they can become? Have you ever been treated differently because of how you look? Have you watched it happen to someone else and said nothing? Have you ever been the one doing the treating and realized later how wrong you were? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. You matter. And if you believe that every bride deserves to feel beautiful, that every person deserves to be treated with dignity, that love has no color and belonging has no boundaries, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and join us in building a world where everyone belongs. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next story.